61 now.
Yeah. Him and same age as Ozzy Osbourne.
And basically, we're just going to talk about the book, how it came to be, some things that are in it. I'm curious to find out a little bit more about why you chose to put them in, why you may have left things out. And, then we're going to take questions from you in half an hour or so, I think. So,
I feel like this is a college lecture or something.
There'll be a test at the end. So let me just start off with a really basic question I always ask people who've written books, which is, why go to all the work and pain and trouble of putting down your life, for people to read, putting it all out there so people can see it?
That's a very good question.
That's right. Yeah.
I've had a really interesting life, and I thought that I've learned lessons through my life, and first of all, I wanted to write it because I love writing. Secondly, I thought there was a story there that people could identify with and maybe learn from my boneheaded mistakes, or at least associate with it, especially the whole depression thing. And I've actually had a lot of emails and letters from people saying, I'm glad you came out with it, because now I can talk about it more freely. So, and the whole suicide thing too. Has anyone here not read the book? All right, I'm not going to say too much. Not
Well, we're going to spoil a few things here when I start asking you questions, but they'll be reading it soon, I think. Since you mentioned, coming out with your own story of
Right.
and how that's been something you struggled with your whole life, let me ask you a little bit about that. In terms of opening up and sharing that with people, that's sometimes a personal thing, but why did you decide, you wanted to put that out there at this point?
Mainly because it's an autobiography and it's part of my life, and to leave it out would leave out a pretty strong theme. And it's been, it's like anything. It's got its good side and its bad side. It's written some pretty good songs, and it's been part of my drive too to succeed. Is that I thought once I succeeded that the depression would go away.
Right.
But I was obviously wrong in that. But it's mainly because there's a lot of threads in the book, but depression is certainly was an important one. I couldn't leave it out.
Right. Well, and in fact, it's the way you open up the story. You put out a story right at the beginning that probably comes as a surprise for a lot of people who've read it. What kind of response have you gotten from people? You mentioned a lot of people have been happy, have been saying, "Way to go," talk about it. But people who know you, strangers, what do people think of that part of your life?
I heard one radio guy I did an interview with. He said I had to read that paragraph 3 or 4 times before I realized exactly what you were saying. You'd just done, and it is a shock when because to people, I'm kind of considered the bright, happy guy, from General Hospital and Jesse's Girl, and so opening up the book with an attempted. Well, it wasn't attempted, because to me attempted suicide is you take a handful of sleeping pills and call your sister, But I meant to end it, and it was a transformative moment in my life because it didn't succeed because of the rope came undone. But I was fully committed to it.
Right.
And then this press came out about teen suicide. I mean, it's been happening all the time. Like my own sons have a couple of friends who took that way out, and if they could, I feel glad that I came out with that. I was worried about it before, but I'm glad now because if just one kid hears the story and goes, "Oh, here's a guy who, as a kid, was where I was, but something happened and he didn't succeed. Fortunately, at offing himself, has gone on to have a real interesting life and been successful and have a great family." And I feel like I was almost guided to start out like that, make that with such a big impression, because that to me is almost the biggest story and the bigger lesson in the book than the depression. I mean, although it is part of depression, but it is an actual ending act that I think, to me, it's such one of the saddest things I can hear about your kid doing that.
Right.
There's so much still on the road, and to cut the journey short like that just because you're feeling, momentary pain. It is momentary when you truly think about it.
Right. Well, you mentioned that, people view you as kind of a happy-go-lucky.
Not anymore. I want that fucked up Rick Springfield guy.
Is there a sense that people sometimes think, well, he's got it all, he's got fame, he's got money, how can he be depressed?
I actually, there was one interviewer, and it was one of those rock jocks, hey, so you're banging chicks, and you're doing drugs, and obviously he hadn't read the book. And he said, I'm looking at you, I'm going, what Rick Springfield got to be so bummed about? I said, you haven't read the book, have you? He goes, And like I said, it was part of my drive to succeed, because I thought all that success would heal me, would blow away the dark clouds. I was sure that would be so. And that's what these people are all jumping on these reality shows for, because they think that fame will make them better. And it's what I call in the book the myth of fame, that it does not change you. You're still the same jerk you've always been.
Right.
You just a famous jerk. And it's I did honestly pursue a career. I mean, I love music, I love writing, and I wasn't just doing it to become famous, but I thought fame would heal me, and that was and these guys that say, what do you got to be sad about? I mean, I'd like to look inside their heads and see, where the blips are in their dark screen, because we all have them.
Right. Well, the other thing you mentioned this a minute ago too. The other thing that's gotten a lot of attention with the book is you talk about your sort of sexual history, and how that has been something that you've had to struggle with over time in terms of and how it's affected your relationships,
Right.
From old girlfriends all the way through to your wife.
Right.
That's also another personal topic, similar to the depression. I mean, and you're fairly open in telling those stories.
Well, I just read a review online, and they said this is the most open and honest and raw autobiography you will ever read. And but I went,
Yeah.
oh shit. Maybe I told too much. So yeah, I thought I was under the illusion that you write an autobiography that you tell the truth, and apparently that's not always the case.
Well, again, in going there, were there moments where you were thinking, man, should I not put that story in? Or
There was a couple of times where I breezed over something, and my editor, who is amazing, Stacy Creamer, who's also a publisher, she had listened to my records pretty thoroughly once we made the deal, and I'd be talking about this area of my life, and then she'd reference the album that I'd written at that time, and she would a couple of times, well, once, she called that, I'd written like 3 lines to get by this, get over this bit.
Right.
She said, there's more here. I've just been listening to the record, and there's way more here. And so I ended up, she pushed me, and I ended up writing like 10 or 15 pages on this 3 lines that I tried to, but that was the only thing, and it was more out of concern for my wife, because I'm still married, and usually these kind of confessions come out about the ex-wife, not the ex-wife, and she's definitely not my ex-wife, and what I was most concerned about her. I mean, I wasn't concerned about what people would think about me, really. Because I think, I'm a bit of a jerk, and I'm okay with other people thinking that, truly. But I was concerned about how they would feel about my wife. And the best thing is that all the notes and the reviews and the emails I've gotten, in fact, I got a letter the other day that I showed to Barbara, and it said, now that I've read your book, I don't know who's more awesome, you or your wife. And that's what